I arrived in Iwakuni, Japan in March of '72. So I was there for about 3 months before the orders came for deployment to Thailand. So I got there about May. I'm not sure exactly what day, but I went with my squadron in May of '72. The length of the tour was usually a year. And since I came to Japan in March, my rotation date was in March of '73. So I left almost the same time that the peace treaty was signed. Okay, and so when I left, I went to Iwakuni, Japan. Then I went stateside and got stationed at Great Lakes Naval Base. But the squadron, the task force didn't leave until September of '73. So they continued bombing Vietnam up until March. And then when we signed the peace treaty, we couldn't bomb Vietnam anymore. So they started bombing Laos and Cambodia. My unit was a VMA AW533, which was an A6 squadron. They were day and night missions. They carried bombs, and they were escorted by the F-4 Phantoms on their missions. My job was admin, so I was one that took care of what they call unit diary, which is like finance. Okay, and so I was responsible for any kind of promotions, any kind of pay raises, or anything that went down with the money. I was responsible for inputting into the records. Well, I was 18 years old when I went over, so this is about the first time I was away from home, from Iowa. You know, I'm a good old farm boy, and so I was like a babe in the woods. It was all brand new to me, and being sweaty, being so humid that you could not keep dry. That's how bad it was. So the biggest thing I take from there was the monsoon weather and never being dry. He was always wet all the time.
Did those conditions make your job harder?
Not mine, because I was not working on a flight line, you know, out in the sun, you know, lifting heavy bombs and working on aircraft. You know, I was in a building that probably, I think we had fans, whatever. So you know, we were very comfortable. Okay, but yeah, I did not have any issues with doing, because that wasn't my job, was to go out there and get sweaty and stuff. So I spent 3 years in the Marine Corps, '71 to '74. Then I spent 20 years in the Army, from '74 to '94. And even though I spent 20 years in the Army, I still bleed Marine Corps. You know what I'm saying? And you never lose that, okay? And so there would be many organizations in the Army that I could go to reunions with, of all the units I've been with, but I never have, because I always stuck, once a Marine, always Marine, no matter what you do. So since I was an admin type guy, very anal, very organized and stuff, when we went ahead and started getting all this organized, I took it upon myself, because I was thinking, what would people like to see out on display when they don't know what's going on? Because, like I said, I was focused on my job, go to my hooch, back to my job, you know, hit Liberty and did all that stuff. But all these other people had different types of jobs. So they might not know what I did, and I would not know what Malcolm did. I would not know what the ordnance people did, you know. And so they might have been focused on their own little thing too. And so what I try and do is I started getting all kinds of articles about the Rose Garden, and so I could display them so people could read about it. Because a lot of people don't understand the history or the background of it. You know, we were there, and at the time, you don't realize that you're making history. You know, we were history. You know, we was the last combat unit in Southeast Asia. And so you're doing your job, and 20 years later, it's all unclassified or whatever, and boom, we're in Marine Corps historical articles and everything, and it was just great, you know. And so I thought if I would bring stuff to people that they could look at, okay. So, oh yeah, I remember that. And that's what motivated me. Plus, the biggest thing is just meeting people, you know. When you're in your own squadron, you know maybe 5 or 6, 10 people, you know, that's because you work with them. But you had about 3,000 people at Namfong from all different units, and so you didn't know what was going on. So these reunions are great, telling stories about, you know, what they did, and because you always hear rumors, okay, about it. The one that is the best one is when the B-52 landed in Namfong, all shot up in Vietnam. I'm surprised they even got there because the landing strip was not big enough for the B-52s. Well, it landed, and the Air Force is going to fix it up and everything, and so they left, and before we knew it, the next morning when they was getting ready to leave or whatever, they found a big Eagle anchor on the nose. And so we got pictures of it and everything. And so all through the reunions, we always said, you know, who did that? I mean, who painted that or whatever? Well, I think it was in Pensacola or Quantico. I don't remember which one. This was Harry's friend, Lucien Ground. He stood up and said, I painted that. So after 40-some years, we found out who painted this Eagle Globe and anchor. Never knew who did it. And that's what this is about. I mean, you get all the different stories, you hear rumors and stuff, and 9 times out of 10, it's factual, but with a little bullshit put in. So that's what I like, talking to people, and now, I'm a social person anyway, so I like to walk around and talk and everything. So, and I appreciate you doing this. I mean, this is what we need, because I think we're the last of the breed of the Vietnam vets. Okay, the only ones that were involved with it, like we were in '75 at the embassy when we was getting everybody out, you know. But that was a year after 2 years after we left, which I won't go into that. But so we were the last of the Vietnam vets.